why did they make that decision? That decision doesn't make sense because now everybody's going to be after them. And I was like, what do you mean, Jim? What side's going to be flipped on? He said, can't tell you, but it's not going to be heads or tails. And I said, don't know what that means. What I felt at the time to be a game that we had crafted so well to get to this point, and I feel like it was all burning in front of me.
What's up, guys? It's Ava and Ivy, and today we have a very special guest who you know from the top 10. We have Auguste, player 172.
Hey guys, how we doing? Thanks for having me.
We are so glad to have you here, and literally what an episode to have you here for. We're so pumped to talk all about it. But before we jump into the game, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and life before Beast Games?
Yeah, for sure. So kind of background, I guess probably reason why I got on the show is I was just really into sports growing up. I did archery competitively. I swam for like 10 years, football, basketball. So lots of like athletic stuff. I was actually homeschooled too. And I went like part-time to high school to play some sports. And then after that, I went to community college for a year, dropped out, and then I started doing TikTok marketing program. And so that's what I do now. And then, yeah, huge fan of season one. Got to watch you guys, compete for 5 mil, and then applied last spring for season 2. And, the rest is history so far.
What a ride it's been so far. And still more to go. That's crazy.
I know. I'm so excited. I think episode 8 was the best in my opinion so far. So many twists and turns.
I completely agree. I think episode 8 was the best episode, probably out of both seasons, in my opinion.
It was very, very good. All the twists and turns that we'll get into here. It's going to be fun to unpack.
Yeah, I felt like towards the end, I kept feeling like, oh, it's just going to end there, and then it kept going, and like that. I had 3 moments like that. I'm like, yes, like this is what I need. This is what I want.
Yeah, they did an amazing job. There's a lot packed into that hour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, there's so much that happens.
It's crazy. Yeah. So obviously we're eager to talk about episode 8. But we want to do a little rundown on your whole adventure. You're a host for your podcast yourself, so it's kind of fun for us to be the questionnaires and you just be the guest for once.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So starting us off pretty easy. We kind of want to know what was your main motivation and strategy going into the game, and do you feel like it kind of played out throughout the game so far?
Yeah, so strategy and motivation. I was going into the games knowing that no matter what theme they're going to name it, strong versus smart, or just, no theme, or whatever themes they come up in the future, I think it's a general rule of thumb that with Beast Games, the most important thing is your social game. And so to have those good social connections. So I think going into the games, idea was to be kind of a leader figure who knew everybody and had a lot of friends and yada, yada, yada. But I think where that changed is once I got in the games, rather than making relationships for the sake of making relationships, I kind of just was myself and ran with it. And I became really good friends with Nick and Tyler and Jack and Jonas and Josh, who got out earlier, and a few other people. And we were just genuinely friends. It wasn't circumstantial. I think a lot of Beast Games friends can be circumstantial. Obviously, with you guys met in season 1. You guys have that same connection where it's it wasn't circumstantial. You guys are genuinely have become awesome friends through this. But I think for a lot of people, they align with people or they become friends with people just because they think it's going to, help advance them. But I think what's unique about our group is we just had genuine chemistry together, and it was just kind of hey, we're going to ride this out together. And so that kind of was my strategy. And I think I've stuck to that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's such a crazy environment. And so that's really cool. You were able to find your people. And honestly, I'm sure that made the time pass so much easier too, because
100%.
You actually enjoy spending time with them.
We had so much fun. I love in episode 1, the clip of Jack growling, which to most viewers, I don't know if you guys remember that, but to most viewers, they're probably I don't get this. What's so funny? But to us, that was such a special moment in the show because that is what we did for weeks, was just sit around on the grass and joke around. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, that was a fun moment to watch.
I was going to say, we meant to bring that up to Jack when we were talking to him on the podcast and we just forgot. But yeah, that was such a fun
None of us
moment.
even remember why that started, but it became a thing where he'd growl at us. I don't even know.
Okay, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I guess talking more about gameplay. So we've seen a lot of your gameplay so far throughout the episodes. Did you expect yourself to be such a strong strategic player when you went in?
I would say so. I went in with the intention, as anyone does, to win, but I think I very much prepared in terms of, this is kind of a crazy thing. I think I watched season 1 probably 3 times through the weeks leading up to Beast Games season 2. So I was studying everything, and I'm not a game show person. I'm not even a TV person in general. I've never watched Survivor, which I think I should probably watch at some point because I think it'd probably help with situations like these. But I just knew that I wanted to stick with my people, And I wanted to do anything and everything I could for them to try to get us any edge we could get. And so I was constantly theorizing and strategizing and just trying to manipulate situations best I could to like get a leg up for myself and my group.
And yeah, obviously it's been very evident throughout the past episodes. You and Nick seem to be the top like strategists this season for sure. So kind of talking about that alliance a bit, we talked to Nick, we talked to Jack already, but we're curious from your perspective, like who was your first ally out of that group and who do you think brought that alliance together?
So I think the first person who I became really close with originally in the alliance was Jonas. He ended up taking $1,000 or $100,000 bribe at the end of episode 1. Excuse me, or beginning of episode 2. But outside of him was also definitely Nick. We sat together at the same table in Vegas. We had been together the entire time. And I think in terms of like bringing our alliance together, I think you could say it was Nick, because he was obviously like the leader in our group. It wasn't like this thing where he kind of like brought us together and like assembled us. It just kind of like happened naturally. So I think it was kind of like a collective effort to just like, we all became friends and that just worked out for me.
Did you feel like there was like one person that was kind of like the glue of the group where it's like if you lost them, things would fall apart, or was it just not like that?
I don't think it was really like that. If you wanted to pin that on someone, I think that would be Nick. Just because I think we all had very strong individual relationships with Nick. Like I think my relationship with Nick was the strongest out of the group. I think Tyler's strongest relationship out of the group was with Nick. I think Jax was probably also with Nick. You know what I mean? So amongst at least those 4 contestants, I think you could probably pin it on him. But I think, say Nick got eliminated in episode 5 or 6 or somewhere along the lines, I think the 3 of us still would have stuck together without him.
And there was something I wanted to bring up about you being a strategic player. And this is just like what we've heard from people and like whatever. But we've heard you get compared to Patrick a lot recently, strategy wise. So I just want to bring that up. Have you heard that at all?
I have. I talked to him this morning, actually.
Oh,
yeah,
no way. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Just had to address that.
At least I wasn't dumb enough to take $0. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but I guess talking more about, your strategy and, now starting to build into the recent episodes, let's talk about the red cubes a little bit. So whose idea was it to do a vote and how confident were you it would be Vance that wins?
So I'll give kind of the backstory to this. We get into the cubes, back up a little bit. They announce cubes. Nick and I look at each other. We know we're going into cubes together. Neither of us had like a great relationship with Vance or a bad relationship. We just kind of like Vance was just kind of one of those people that's kind of there in the games. And he's in front of us and he turns around and looks at me and Nick and he goes, "So guys, we doing this?" And Nick looks at me, he looks at Vance, he looks back at me and he goes, "Mm-hmm." And so we go in the cubes and we knew that we were going to do something to try to get Vance out. And again, all up to Vance, but we're going to look out for each other at the end of the day, obviously. So Nick's looking at me from across the cube and he's like, "Think." He just keeps saying, "Think." So I'm sitting there trying to think of an idea. And I say to Vance, I say, "Yo, I have an idea. Because we want to play something that's fair for all of us. What if we did a vote? That'd be kind of cool." And Vance said, "I ain't doing a vote. Like, what are you talking about?" And so they don't show this part as much. So originally he says no to a vote. And then I know Vance is very, like, he's like one of the most skilled people in Beast Games. He's also one of the most financially responsible in Beast Games because he's won a bunch of money in the past. And he's also like a nice guy. And I know he thought he was super nice. And so I thought, what if I design 3 questions that favor Vance, but I knew that the other contestants would just vote for who they wanted to go through anyway. So I said, all right, we're going to give each contestant 3 votes each. They can vote once for who they think is the most skilled, the most financially responsible, and the nicest. And for Vance, those questions kind of favor him. And so for him, he's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm down for this," because like he felt safe with that. But what I think went over his head is he didn't realize that contestants aren't going to answer those questions honestly. If they answered them honestly, Vance, it probably would have been me going home, to be honest. But I was hedging my bets that the contestants would just vote or answer the questions based on who they wanted to go through the most. And so I felt pretty confident. We kind of convinced him to do that. We got that through. And yeah, I mean, it was very, very nerve-wracking, but very fun night.
Yeah, that was a very creative way to take control of the cube without Vance really realizing. So props to you, seriously. That
Appreciate
it does take a lot of thought to come up with something like that and guarantee your way, or basically guarantee your way into the next rounds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously we do see in your cube, though, you guys had a bit of fun. And something we want to point out, obviously, that we're extremely jealous of is that you got Starbucks for life.
Oh,
that is absolutely crazy. Like, did you expect that to happen when you ordered it?
No, not at all. So I was trying to think of food we could get quick because I was so hungry. And so I thought, well, what can I get the fastest? And I'm like, oh, there's a Starbucks in the city. I'll just order a Starbucks sandwich and a Starbucks coffee. I'll get it in 5 minutes. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, they pull up, Drewski's there, and they're like, "You just won Starbucks for life." And I'm like, when you see my reaction on the show, I'm like, what do you mean? And then obviously they didn't show this, but the second they leave, I instantly get on the phone and I think of all Mr. Beast sponsors, I'm like, yo, can I
Oh
get
my
some
gosh.
Jack Link's beef jerky? Oh, can I get some Feastables? I asked for a T-Mobile iPhone. So I started ordering all these things that I know are sponsors, and then Klitzner walked in the queue and he said, "There's nothing else you can win." And I was like, oh, shoot. Because I
Oh,
was like, what other Easter egg prizes can I walk out of here?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Worth a shot for sure.
Yeah.
What's your like go-to Starbucks order now that you have it forever?
Ooh. I like the brown sugar oat milk shake and espresso. It's a good one. That's
Good
what I
pick.
drank in the city too.
Did they tell you like that was a plan? Like if anyone asked for Starbucks, they would get Starbucks for life, or
No, I mean
no?
the only like conversation I had was with Klitzner, and he said they really wanted to have this secret prize. They really wanted it to be a big deal, and they like really worked hard with Starbucks to get that. And I wonder what would happen if nobody ordered Starbucks, because there's definitely a reality
Right.
where, because I think we might have been the only cube that ordered it. Period. I don't think anyone even ordered it after us. So I wonder if like if no one ordered it, if it would just been like, well, that's that. It's over. No Starbucks for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they would have implemented it, considering like they wanted that to be a prize. So
Yeah, I don't know. Would have
yeah,
been interesting.
but I wonder they probably didn't expect anyone to order Starbucks though in the cubes because you just have it 24/7. So
Yeah,
it just
I don't
worked
know.
out.
It might have been a thing where with their contract with Starbucks where they said, hey, if this happens, we give it away. If it doesn't happen, we won't give it away. And who
Yeah.
knows? Pretty crazy.
Crazy.
Definitely, I think one of the more unique prizes that someone has won on Beast Games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. So I guess talking more about the strategy, outside the red cubes and everything, several people have talked about how you're a gamer. Did you feel like that put a target on your back in the game at all?
Yes and no. I think I intentionally tried to fly under the radar. I kind of like I watched what Jeff did, and like Jeff was a game player, but also he kind of like flew under the radar. And so I intentionally didn't want to like obviously I knew Nick was never gonna take $1 million. But I probably could have like forced myself into like, yo, I want to do this. Like I led in the obstacle course, let me take this. And I probably could have done that. Wouldn't have taken the $1 million. Same thing with like, well, not, I mean, I actually was potentially trying to be captain for the memory game in episode 6, but I think I kind of was aware that people knowing I was a strategizer would maybe put a target on my back. So to kind of like counter that, I just sort of like chilled. Like I don't really try to like take the spotlight, I guess.
So, kind of like looking into your game a little bit, what do you think, in your opinion, so far up to episode 8, was your biggest strategic move that had like a huge influence on the game? And maybe was there any small moves that you made strategically that we didn't see happen on screen?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. There's definitely a lot of strategic moves I made. It's just hard to think of. I mean, I think we were constantly making little adjustments, but I think the big thing we did obviously is like we knew we wanted to eliminate Katie, Briley, and Tyler. Like everyone, that was kind of, we actually had an acronym in the city. It's kind of fried to say now, but CBT, we'd say CBT for Katie, Briley, Tyler. And so I convinced Katie, and I was going to convince Briley next, but I convinced Katie to go as early as possible because she thought she was safe. So she just solved the puzzle and she's not going to make it to the end. And then that's one less person that we have to worry about winning. And then we could just help Nick through. So like things like that. And then obviously in episode 8, it gets hairy. And so we can get into some of that stuff, but there's definitely some like stuff that's going on during that. But yeah, I mean, I think up until this point that the main strategy is just sticking with my group. And I had great relationships with Brett, Corey, Hannah, and Katie as well. Not as much as Jim and Monica. I just didn't know them as well, but I didn't have like a bad relationship with them.
Yeah, so I guess should we move into episode 8 now?
We can.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you guys
Sweet.
want? What do you guys want to know? It's a crazy game. I'm telling you.
I just wish we could talk about it all right now, but obviously we can't because there's a cliffhanger. But
There is a cliffhanger.
so before going into the phones, obviously we see the $1 million split. And we see your initial reaction to Nick's choice when he tells you honestly what happened. What was going through your head in that exact moment? Like we see that you almost didn't believe him. Like what,
I didn't.
What were you
No,
thinking?
I didn't. And it's weird because in hindsight, like you can always look back and go, yeah, like you could look back and say it would have made sense for the 4 of us just to each take 250. I mean, you can always hindsight it and do the Monday morning quarterback thing and talk about that. But in the moment where we were all at mentally, as you can see with what we say, we were all, which it might seem naive, but like we were genuinely really confident it was going to split 100K down the line. Cause like, look, this is life-changing money for all of us, or like a good chunk to take home for all of us. And then we can all still compete for the 5 million. And again, from my understanding with watching season 1, it's kind of like, if you take more than that, you're kind of eliminating yourself. I mean, you see that with Mike, you see that with JC, and obviously like they could have spent their money and made it through, but I was just kind of aware of that. And so I'm like, well, nobody's going to take more than 100K. We're all just going to go even down the line. And so when Nick told me 250, and I knew like his family situation and his financial situation, and one thing that was like on my bucket list of things I really cared about was making sure Nick won money, and ideally a lot of money. And so he's someone who I genuinely saw myself going to the end with. I thought we could be both top 3. Like I was very confident in that. And obviously that's a lot of game left. Like that might still happen. But in this moment, when he told me that, it was this weird thing of, I am so unbelievably happy for Nick, but I'm so surprised. And like I said, I didn't even believe it. And then when I walked up there and there's 750, I don't know if this is in it, but I look at Jimmy and I go, no way, he actually did it. Because I thought he was trying to bait me for a funny moment where he calls me and says, yo, I take 250. And I go, you did? Hey, I'm going to do the same thing. And he goes, nah, I got you, bro. What you saying? Take 100K. Like I thought he was like trying to troll me. Just because, I don't know, we talked about it so much and I was so confident. And Nick's reasoning makes total sense. Like this is the one time you get to, and that's what I'll say too for anyone watching. I don't think it's fair for anybody to make a judgment watching this if they haven't done it themselves, which only 20 people in the world have done this, and really less than that because some people in season 1 and this season didn't have as much of a choice to make. But it is such a weird game. And so, but anyways, yeah, getting up there, it was odd. Just with that decision, and then just like not too sure about what I should do, but trying to figure out what would be the most strategic. It was crazy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that definitely seemed overwhelming and like, yeah, not know. You think Nick's doing a bit and then he's not. Like that is.
I thought he was doing a bit.
Shock.
I really did. Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there laughing with him, and then yeah, when he dug me up, like there's some tears in my eyes because that's when I'm like, I think he might actually done. I wasn't sure yet, but I was like, dude, if you took that, bro, congrats. Like at the end of the day, if he took $1 million, I'd say the same thing. Like I'd be like, could have left some more for me, but at the end of the day, I would give him a hug and say congrats because I know how much it means to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you thinking at all in the back of your head, like just how you were talking about a minute ago, like when you take more than your fair share, it's really just not a good thing at this point in the game. Were you thinking in the back of your head, like, oh, Nick might get like eliminated now?
And that's where I was so bummed, and we'll get into that later. And I think there's some misunderstanding around that, but I loved it. We'll get into that more later. But yeah, I mean, for sure. And in hindsight, it's funny because we got really good at predicting. I tried so hard to predict what was next, and we actually got pretty good at it. Like we called money pull, we called the strong game. Like we kind of pieced a lot of things together. We knew when cubes were going to be like, we were able to like piece things together, like make educated guesses. None of us at all, for whatever reason, thought maybe phones is next, maybe bribe game's next.
Really?
Which in hindsight, if that were true, I would have taken all 750 and then said, hey guys, I took it. Don't worry. I'm pretty sure this is coming next. And I'm going to write you guys each a check for $83,000. We'll split it equally. Y'all can send me through first as a thank you.
Wow.
That's what I would have done. But, hindsight's 2020. So
yeah, that's crazy. Because I was going to ask, like, being the gamer you are, I thought everyone would expect that to be the next game because that's what happened in season 1. So that's
I don't
crazy.
get it because Jimmy said the same thing. I don't understand. It actually baffles me. Like, I feel so stupid because I'm like, how did none of us think of that? It's actually crazy. Because if that were the case again, too, Nick's already told us me too. He would have taken the full $1 million, of course, because he can just take it. He can give me 150K. He can give Corey 150K. Brett, Jack, Tyler. That's 5 votes. That's all you need. You go through to the top 6 with like 300 bands or whatever the math is. So it's like frick it. If he doesn't want to give money to the other 4, that's fine. That's on him. That's if he wants to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that blew my mind. I really thought and that's why I thought a lot of people were like, no, I'm going to stick with my fair share at this point because they didn't want to be the person to like not send through because it's like, oh, you took more money, so I'm not going to send you through.
Right.
So very interesting to hear that dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you expect to be the first person dug up by Nick?
Yeah, I did. We were really close the whole season, and I knew that, we were each other's number ones or however you want to say that. And so I was not like surprised at that. But yeah. I kind of would have liked to be buried alive a little longer. It was kind of cool in there.
Yeah, how long were you in there for?
Maybe 30 minutes, probably. Not even, maybe.
What? Oh my gosh, yeah. You could have gone longer.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess, after you took your fair share, where did you go after? Were you sitting in the blocks the whole time or were you guys like allowed to chill?
So we're sitting up there. A thought crossed my mind of taking 250. Because if I took 250, Tyler would have taken 250. And Jack would have taken 250 because Nick would have told Tyler, hey, I took 250. Nick would have told Tyler, I took 250. Not sure what Auguste took, but when you go up there, you'll see. And he would have walked up there to 500K and gone, oh, they both took 250. And he would have taken it, and then Jack would have taken the rest. That would have been interesting. So I thought about that. And then I thought, well, I could take 100K. And then I thought, what if, is it worth, and this is just me being fully transparent about my gameplay, would it be worth the extra brownie points I'll get for taking 17 grand less? That mixed with, if I take this weird number, that's 83,333, Tyler and the rest of the people will like potentially pick up on that and just follow suit. I thought there was a good chance to go 83 down the line, and basically did. I mean, in terms of obviously Brett, but like everybody kind of stuck with that pattern. You know, Tyler took 100, whatever. It's very similar. And then Jack took 81, which was his amount. But yeah, so we went into the green cubes, and then they took us into a car, kind of like outside the city. And I sat in that car for 14 hours panicking.
Oh my, 14 hours?
14.
Yeah, I think 14 hours. Hey, Brett, if you're watching this, bro, I got to call you because what were you doing up there? Apparently, Brett was up there for like 4 hours. I don't know what Brett was doing. I heard Brett took like 4 hours. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we started filming at like 10 p.m. and I don't think we finished till maybe 2 p.m. So it was full like 14 hours of filming. It might have even been longer. I don't even know. It was cooked.
So now it kind of wait. So Katie and Hannah were in there for 14 hours?
Yeah. Yeah. I heard a rumor that Jim peed in his beef jerky bag. And people were down there for a long time.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't.
pretty funny.
Wow.
I expected like maybe like 8 hours, but 14 hours?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I'm pretty sure it was something like that, you know.
Watching the episode and seeing the time elapsed in the corner, and I just figured that was like total in the challenge. And so, oh my gosh, he was there for 4 hours.
I again, as far as I know, it was like 3 to 4 hours that he was up there, which I'm so curious to know. Which I know he was just really struggling on how much to take, but I'd just be curious to know like what he was. Were him and Jimmy just like hanging out? Like, did he make some calls up there? I don't know what's happening, but it's cool. But yeah, I was sitting in the car for 14 hours, going, "What the frick just happened?" I'm like, in my again, this is in my mind, my sleep deprived brain. I'm going, did the game just blow up?
Yeah,
because we had this whole kumbaya perfect plan of how we were all gonna, and I'm like, what the frick just happened?
Right? Yeah, like why is it taking so long if everyone else like didn't follow suit? That makes sense.
Yeah. And that gives everyone a ton of time to overthink either what they just did or what they're about to do. Like, oh man,
I am not a fan of that night at all. Winning $83,000 that night was great, but everything else was horrible. It was just confusing, and it tripped me out in so many ways.
Right.
Yeah. Before we go into the debrief, I do want to like kind of go through each person's choice and break that down with you. Mm-hmm. So we see you, and then Tyler's next, right? And he takes 100K. So that was more than his fair share. Was that like just not pointed out? I feel like that was just like kind of blown over.
Yeah, you know, Tyler's a great guy, and I think we all said we were going to take 100K, and he walks out to $667,000, whatever he walked out to, and yeah, he could have taken 83 as well, but I think I actually remember this just now, and I don't mean to throw his math skills under the bus, but I think he said he did the math in his head. And he worked out that he was going to take 96 grand was his fair share or something. And so he thought it was like, might as well just take 100. I think something like that happened, or something in that range, but there was really no ill feeling towards, and we'll get into that too. There's no real ill feeling of me towards Nick or Brett, but with Tyler especially too, it's just like, it's the same difference kind of at that point. I mean, we all said we were going to take 100K. And even if, say Nick took 900 grand and I took 100K, I don't think I'd get ridiculed. I mean, people would be like, well, you took what we were all supposed to get. So that's that, you know.
And that's what we saw in season 1, how JC was like the main, like everyone was, JC's villain, but Mike took more than his fair share too. And no one cared. I mean, he was for
Tyler,
episode,
I think I would still classify that as fair share in my opinion. I mean,
that's not that much of a difference.
Yeah. Technically you could say, well, it's not, but I'd say if he took 120 or 150, then people would question and go, hey, what? Like, hey, I thought, you know, that would be different. But just him taking 100, nobody batted an eye, nor should they have, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. So yeah, we see Tyler, we see Jack take his fair share. Me and Ivy were talking about the moment where Nick told Jack like how much money he took, and Jack's smile just like fades away. Oh my gosh, it was like the perfect shot for that moment. It was crazy.
Yeah. And I think Jack had the same mindset as me of like super, super, super freaking happy for Nick. But just like, I think both of our minds work in the way they raced ahead to go, oh no, does this like screw our game a little bit?
Right.
Potentially.
Right. Yeah.
Which is maybe selfish, but it's honest. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in the game, you know, like Nick said too, you got to be selfish. You got to be a little greedy and think for yourself when there's only 10 people left.
Yeah.
And so next we move into the big hitter, Brett, who takes 250. I was shook.
Yeah.
I think it would have been funny if Jack took like 300 bands.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Like imagine Nick takes 250, I take 83, Tyler takes 100, and then Jack walks out to 566 and goes, meh, load it up. That would have been so funny. But yeah,
that would have been good.
Brett ripped it. And I think part of, I don't know. I mean, I was surprised at it too, but Again, I had no ill feeling towards him. It was just like, I just didn't make sense to me. That's all.
Did you hear any more reasoning from him that like we didn't see in the episode as to why he did it? Like, did he feel unsafe in his position in the
Yeah,
game?
100%. And I think they do mention that with a little conversation. I think Brett felt like he was in a really bad spot in the game. I feel like he thought that his only really good relationship was with Corey, which is potentially true. I had a great relationship with Brett. He had a great relationship with Nick, me, Tyler, Jack. But he was aware of the fact that Tyler, Jack, Nick, and I are always going to pick one of the four over the two of them. Like, we loved them, but like he was aware of that. He and Hannah are kind of off doing their own thing, and Jim and Monika are together. So like I think it was, this is my chance. And he even said it when he was taking the money. I think he said like, if you don't take more than 100, you're essentially betting on the fact that you're going to win the game because there's our last chance to get money, which I actually really like that mindset. Shout out to Brett for that, because that's, I think, a really smart way to think about it. If you feel like you don't have a good shot and that's what you want to do, freaking do it. You know?
Yeah. And that's how JC explained his move. You know, he was like, I need this guaranteed money, and that's why I did it, essentially, you know? So
yeah,
it is a
and
good
it sucks because
reasoning,
I mean, it'd be so amazing if everyone get 100K, and that was my hope. But I understand all sides of it.
Yeah. And you really never know when people are going to change their mindset in the game. So
100%.
as we saw with Nick, so people really thought he was going to start with 100K. So
yeah, for sure. And I think he thought he was going to start with 100K too. And that's why I always say, like,
you never know.
You never know what you're going to do. It's hard. If I went up there again tomorrow, who knows? Maybe I would have taken 750. You know, I don't think so, but it's hard. It's hard. Depends on the day. Depends on what your mood you're in. You know, it's a mind-bending game.
Ivy, do you want to take us into Corey's? I think Corey was next. You want to take us into that?
How much did he get again?
Corey, he got 47,000.
47,000?
47.
47.
It was 1/5 of whatever was left.
It was 47K.
Okay, yeah, that was heartbreaking to see, especially knowing, like, as the audience, that it was Brett, like, his closest person who just did that. That hurt. That hurt.
I think Brett and Nick's rationale, which I totally understand, is if you walked out with 100K still in the box, it's on you for not taking it. Which 100% understand that rationale, but I know Corey as a person, and I know he's just not going to do that. There was no world where Corey was going to take 100K, just not. Which maybe you can then say, well, then Corey has no reason to be mad at Brett. You can argue that. I don't know. I understand both sides, but heartbreaking for Corey, just feeling like he got that taken from him. I will say this, out of everybody left in the games, and maybe out of the top 200, Corey is the most like pure person. Like, he's such a like pure dude, such a wholesome dude. Like, I just genuinely.
Yeah.
And I know it wasn't for the
so
game.
sweet.
You can tell when somebody is doing something for the game and when it's just who they are, and that's just who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's been like one of our biggest supporters too, and we haven't even met him. You know, we didn't even play the games with him, so he's super awesome. It sucked seeing that moment. He came out with the least amount of money from
he has
right?
yeah. Besides Monika,
right. Yeah. Yes. But yeah, Corey made a really good point how he genuinely believed everyone was going to split evenly, especially after meeting everyone's family. You know, you think that would have more of an impact on everyone, but it also, like, you could see it from both point of views. You know, you have the family reunion, you're reminded of why you're here. You're reminded that, well, I'm here for myself, not for these 9 other people here. Or you could look at it from Corey's point of view, where it's like, oh, we just bonded. Everyone just bonded so much together because we all met each other's family. There's no way anyone's gonna screw anyone over. Yeah, that was kind of an emotional part of the episode. Yeah. And then who's next?
Monika.
Here we go.
$0.
Here we go. That, oh my gosh, it was just set up so perfectly, especially because everyone before her, or almost everyone before her, didn't take their fair share. So it's like, yeah, I've been this person who's been saying I would never take a bribe, but now here she is. Oh, well, all these other people took more than their fair share, so why don't I? And it was just like the perfect opportunity to offer it to her.
Yeah, 100%. I think it was the perfect storm. And I think she would have taken it no matter what. And maybe not, but I think that at that point in the game, she realized, like, hey, you know, we really are here, and top 10, nothing is guaranteed. No matter what situation it is, you see it in season 1, like, alliances are going to get shaky. Friendships are going to get shaky. There's so much money right in front of you that people just start to get weird. And so I think it makes sense that she did it. I was not a fan of the play at the time, but it makes sense that she did it. I was so pissed.
I mean, how can you turn down 500K though?
No, like, 100%. No, 100%. I understand her play, but I was not happy. I think what bothered me is that she was like, this hero for taking 0. And we're like, Monika, thank you so much. And she freaking took 500K.
Right, yeah. Yeah, she definitely played into it.
If you had the coin, would you have taken 500K like in that moment?
Nah, I don't think so. Because I would have
What?
known he would have offered me more later.
Yeah, that's
Would
what
he
I was
though?
thinking. I was like, I think he would have offered $1 million.
I don't think I would have taken the 500K because I would have assumed that Jimmy was going to offer me more money later. And so I probably would have taken $0 as well, knowing that I have that coin out. And then let's just assume before the next game, Jimmy offered a bribe that was, bigger. I probably would have taken it and then said, hey, like I probably would have taken it in front of everyone and been like, hey, are you guys cool with this? And I bet everyone would have said, yeah, just based on like the events that had happened. And so that's probably how I would have played it. But I love what she did for the storyline. Such a cool play to have that in your back pocket and have no one know about it. I think that's an amazing game design.
Yeah,
I
no,
agree.
definitely add an extra layer to everything.
100%.
So let's kind of go into that. Ivy, you want to take us into the debrief?
Yeah. Okay, so can you tell us more about like what was that like? You get out of the car after 14 hours of waiting.
Oh,
Walk us through how tense that was.
man, I freaking hated that. So they take us out of the car. We go back into the cubes for the shot. And we walk out of the cubes. I am this guy that I get like this weird smirk smile on my face. And so I walk out of the cubes and I have this little smile on my face. And Monika looks at me and I got this like smug look on my face. And then Jim looks at me and Jim goes, "It was you, wasn't it?" And I go, and so we walk out onto the tennis court and they're like, all right, like what everyone freaking take. And it sat there quiet for a minute, sat there quiet. And I think I said something like, I was like, Nick, are you going to go first or should I? Or like, whatever, like, what are we doing here? And Nick ends up saying they took 250. And again, it's this weird thing where here's my best friend on the game who I'm unbelievably happy for that he took that money. But now everyone is like not happy that he did it. And I'm not happy that he did it. I'm more just like, I thought, and again, we can talk, there's more conversations I have after we leave the tennis court or the basketball court, but I just thought it didn't make sense. And so I was just like, and that's why you see when I say my number of 83,000, it's kind of funny because they make fun of me for it. I kind of have like tears in my eyes almost, just because I was so like, there were so many emotions of like, I was really happy, but I was like confused and I was like, it was weird. And then Brett said he took 250 and I was like, because I thought it just went down the line. Because Tyler's like, yeah, I took 100. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's understandable. Jack's like, yeah, I took 81. I'm like, okay, so we followed the pattern. And then Brett's like, I took 250. And I'm like, what? And same thing. Wasn't mad at him. I had no, they showed that in the episode. There's not one time where I'm like, they screwed me or they took money out of my pocket. Didn't feel that way. It was just like, I was surprised.
Yeah, I noticed that you hit a line. I'm pretty sure it's you that said like, we all have families. And that's a line that hit in season 1 pretty hard. I forget who said it, but they're like, we all
Corey
have families,
said it in
bro.
the season maybe, but
okay. Yeah,
maybe it was me,
like...
maybe it was Corey. But and that's the thing too, when people say that, and I get like, because I think people said this about like, when JT took the $1 million, genuinely nobody was mad at him. Everybody was like, frick it, bro. Like everyone was happy for him. And I think Nick and Brett wanted that response with this, and maybe they deserved it, but I think this is a different situation where, yeah, you could look at it as, well, I can take as much money as I want without eliminating anyone, but also you can look at it on the flip side of, this is the one time that's like, it's like a side quest. We can all just get 100 bands and keep competing. And so I think that's where it like affected people a lot. Like, Corey was obviously very upset with Brett, understandably so, because he didn't want to rip 100K when there's only 250 left for like 6 people or 5 people. So he just didn't want to do that. And so like, that's understandable for him to be like, well, Brett, you freaking kind of took food off my table. Or he said something about that.
You said now, obviously, and in the episode that, it wasn't in your place to judge Nick's decision, which again, no one can really know what it's like unless you're in that position.
100%.
And yeah, you mentioned that we see you get a little bit emotional. Was there anything when you originally like started speaking, was there anything that you said that wasn't included that like kind of adds to the story of why you got emotional? Or was it just because so much going on?
Not really. It was more that there was so much going on. There was no like, because obviously I basically took 100K. It's very similar to the same difference. So I had no like, oh, I got shorted. There was none of that emotion. It was just like, again, looking around, looking at what I felt at the time to be a game that we had crafted so well to get to this point. And I feel like it was all burning in front of me. Like I was like I just knew that it was not going to be good for just our squad in general. I just felt like it was not going to end up well, just with like, because then you have all these different opinions and da-da-da-da-da. And I think I was just, the emotion and the panic was kind of setting in. But there was no like, oh, I'm missing 17 grand. Like, I could have taken 100 too and no one would have said anything, I don't think. If I took 100, I don't think anyone would be mad.
Yeah.
So yeah, the conversations we had, And again, I think in hindsight, it would be better if I just bit my tongue because I meant no ill will to Nick at all. He's my boy. And again, you notice in the episode, correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a single moment I say, we need to eliminate Nick. Nick screwed me. Nick took money away from me. There's none of that. Why did they make that decision? That decision doesn't make sense because now everybody's going to be after them. And I said, when we're sitting on the couches, I say, I think my line I said is, why would you effectively self-eliminate for only 150K extra? And again, they cut out a lot of that conversation. But the reason why I said only 150K extra is because this is me as a game player. If I were going to do it, take half or take at least 400 or 600, whatever you're going to take, because then you have a very large amount of money. But I'm looking at this like season one. It's like, look, I've got Nick no matter what. I've got Jack no matter what. I've got Tyler no matter what. We're together, but I was just frustrated feeling like, why are you kind of ruining your chances at 5 million at the time? That's kind of my perspective. Why are you kind of ruining your chances at 5 million for 150,000 extra? That is dumb. That does not make sense. That's not smart. Take more or just take 100 because Nick had the best social credit. And this is obviously going to majorly affect it. And again, in hindsight, I probably should have just not said anything, but I hadn't slept in 18 hours. I have had all these emotions and I'm an outward processor. And so it's like, I'm trying to process all these emotions outwardly. And I think that maybe could have come off as me like downing Nick. And it wasn't downing Nick. It was very confused with the decision. And I didn't like agree with it. Wasn't mad that he did it. I just was like, I feel like you're blowing up your own game for nothing.
Right.
I don't know if that sheds more light to that. Cause I think it maybe comes off as me saying like, frick that guy.
No, yeah.
Which
I
was
think
not.
that adds a lot more context because I completely understand what you're saying. And like, as a viewer, I'm like thinking the same thing. And I think it was Tyler who said, like, if you take $100,001, you're a villain. Like in a game like that, you might as well like go big. Your chances. I mean, we'll see. But like,
If you need money for yourself,
puts a
take
target on your
500.
back.
Take 500.
Yeah.
You know, if he took 500,
And
it probably would have been the same effect where he'd take 500 and I'd go, wow, bro, I am so unbelievably happy for you. Surprised, but super happy for you. And then I probably would have taken like 50K. But I mean, I don't know.
yeah, no, 100%. And that makes me think about season one. I remember being so confused about, Michael takes, what is it, 223,
23?
something like that. Yeah. And it's like, if you're going to do that, take it all. Take 900K.
Yeah, do it.
In my opinion. And so it's like, if I'm going first, I'm either splitting evenly or I'm taking $1 million, you know? So I think that makes a lot of sense.
And I think, and maybe this was Nick's intention, I'm not sure, but I think if I took 250, Tyler took 250, and Jack took 250, there'd be too many of us to hate. And so it maybe would work out where we'd be like, and everyone would be like, well, we're all pissed. And we'd be like, okay, sorry, but there's 4 of us. I mean, what are you going to do? So maybe that would have worked out differently. Who knows? Real. It's hard to say. But I think, again, for me, I do feel bad just for like, I feel like it comes off as me like talking crap on my boy. And I probably was saying, like I said, I probably should have bit my tongue, but my intention wasn't to go, frick Nick. It was to be like, I just don't understand. I was trying to process and be like, why did he do that? It doesn't make sense. You know, I had no intention of like downing him. It was just like, I don't understand this play.
Yeah. It's nice to hear more of the backstory, like what went down after that. Because the episode does make it look like, you're kind of throwing Nick out the window now because it's like, I don't know. It makes it seem that you don't trust Nick anymore. Did it make you trust him less because of his decision or no?
No. I mean, he told us all he was going to take 100K. I'm like, they played the clips. Like we all talked about taking 100K. That was the understanding. So like, I guess you could say technically he lied to me, but I know that he wasn't lying to me to harm me. And it wasn't even a lie. It's more just that he like, when he got there, he realized this is my time. I've had $1 million in front of me before. This is my time to make some money. Okay. And so it didn't really affect my trust. No, it didn't affect my trust. It affected my confidence of him being able to go to the end with us. And whether that's right or wrong, it made me feel like he hurt his game, which in turn kind of hurts our games because we're all together. That's how I felt that morning.
Okay. So moving forward, Nick was essentially still your number one ally. Like you didn't put anyone above him?
No, didn't. No.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Again, I think I was aware of the fact that Tyler and Jack now have a better chance of making it to the top 6, which obviously we're all still in this game. There's a lot of game left to play. But at this time, in this moment, I'm thinking, okay, Tyler and Jack are probably going to be more likely to be in the top 6. But it didn't like
Yeah.
affect he was still my number 1. I was just aware of the fact like he had a lower chance now probably.
Okay. So now that we know that, obviously we're moving into Saudi Arabia. That's crazy. That was a sick transition too. I loved like the plane edit, you guys grabbing your hearts, like
Very
the hearts
cool.
like represent your life. It's just like super awesome. Did you expect to come out of the plane and pull up to Lambos and be able to drive in
No,
a Lambos?
that was so cool. And like the whole Saudi Arabia thing was just it was fun because I think, and this won't be shown on the show, but I think what happened between $1 Million Split and Saudi Arabia was a really healthy thing for everyone's relationships. I was able to talk with Nick a lot more. I was able to just keep connecting with Tyler and Jack and all the other guys, and we were able to. That's kind of when more coin talk happened, which we can get into that if you guys want. That's kind of when we everything kind of got smoothed over a little bit because we obviously had a pretty big meltdown amongst the 10 of us that morning. And so yeah, the Lambos nuts, Riyadh crazy, flight was sick, empty plane. We were running around there. Jimmy's passed out in the aisle. We're like, what's going on, Mr. Beast? Like, it was very surreal.
What was the time gap between the $1 Million Split and the phones?
So let me walk you through it day by day. We went to bed at like noon, or no, not noon, probably like 3 p.m. of that day. And then we woke up. I want to say we woke up 3 hours later at like 6 p.m. He called us over. He said, hey, we're going to Riyadh or whatever. Drove to a hotel, passed out, and then woke up in the morning. Oh, I forgot about this. 4th of July, we go to the airport and we watch fireworks on the runway. We're sitting on the runway watching fireworks on the 4th of July, the 10 of us. Very cool.
Oh, that's sick.
It was very cool. And then flew to Riyadh over that night. And then we had a day or two in between. We landed in Riyadh at night, but our flight was like a whole day plus the time difference, whatever. And then we had a whole day in Riyadh, but we stayed in the Ritz-Carlton, Riyadh.
That's sick.
Holy crap. Crazy food. Nicest hotel I've ever been in. Probably will ever be in. They had a pillow menu. What is a pillow menu? There was like 18 different pillows I could order. I'm like, what is going on?
Dang.
What?
I'm dead serious. A pillow menu. They're like, do you want goose feathers or do you want duck feathers or do you want? And I'm like, what? Memory foam versus this versus. It was insane. I was like, this is nuts. This is
That's wild.
Yeah, too rich for my blood, but it was cool.
That's crazy.
Oh.
So yeah, it was a nice little reset, little fun time before.
Yeah, it was a great reset. And we had good conversations again. I never really had to I never felt the need to talk to Brett much about it. I mean, who knew? I mean, me and Brett were always cool. We maybe had a few conversations about it, but that was never like I said, I was never upset at Brett. I had to kind of I don't want to say apologize to Nick, but just be like, hey, I didn't intend to throw you under the bus. I was processing, and I wasn't saying I want you to go home. I'm just processing what happened, and probably was worth it to bite my tongue, but we made up, and that was that, and we were good after that.
Moving on to the cliffhanger of episode 8. Obviously, we see this big build-up moment of you, and I was wondering why they edited you so suspiciously when Monika was telling Jim about it. I'm like, what? Why do we keep switching to August peeking over the couch? I was so confused.
I loved it. So big backstory on this
so
coin thing. So back to our group. I'm gonna say Nick and I specifically. And Tyler and Jack as well, but Nick and I specifically, from the beginning of Beast Games, watched everything they did. We saw the patterns. We tried to connect things to season 1. We tried to predict what was coming next. We watched every single freaking pattern. And so we were very aware of the bribes. We were very aware of Monika getting bribed. We were very aware of that stopping, all these different pieces of the puzzle, certain ways Monika was acting after, certain ways Jim said things, which I can dive into that. And so Nick, got to give him the flowers for this one. He really did, I know there were multiple people involved, but he really led the effort in terms of figuring out that okay, the coin is probably sold. But that was kind of confirmed to me / us. I was talking to Jim on the flight to Riyadh. Love you, Jim. And he was talking about the coin, and he was like, dude, I know what side the coin's going to be flipped on. And at this point, I had already counted all right, I don't think the coin's in play. And he's like, and I was like, well, what do you mean, Jim? What side's going to be flipped on? He said, can't tell you, but it's not going to be heads or tails. And I said, don't know what that means.
Oh my God.
And that's when I was like, all right, that thing's freaking gone. And again, flowers to Nick. He did all the heavy lifting with that one, but that was kind of a dagger. I was like, Jimbo, because I was trying to investigate him a little bit, but that was low key. That was funny. Which we would have. And if Jim, if you're watching this, or if anyone out there was like, "Oh, Jim's an idiot," Jim is not an idiot. We would have come to the same conclusion, but that was just was a cherry on top.
Oh,
Like,
no.
that was. I gotta admit, that was kind of the. We would have known either way. So Jim, don't feel that bad. We would have known either way. But
Yeah. So you were suspicious before Jim said that, though.
we were suspicious
right?
before, and again, Nick led
Okay.
the troops on that one. But that was definitely the dagger. And
That's
so
wild.
we get up to phones, and I can't wait for you guys to see how this next episode plays out. I had a little idea. I'm like, all right, Nick, figure this out. How can we use this? You gotta wait to find out how we try to use it. But
Yeah. And here's the thing. We're going to ask you about basically every line that you hit before we hit the cliffhanger so we can
all
get
right.
these details out of you.
So I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but let's circle back. So you said Monica's a scummy player. Did you really look down on her for this move?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Tell the truth. I don't know. I didn't lie in Beast Games. I don't know. Okay, it's a game. If people want to lie, that's fine. It's Beast Games. I get it. But what bothered me is the tennis court moment was sorry, I keep saying tennis court. The basketball court moment was so raw. It was so like Corey's crying. We're all emotional. This is like a raw moment of us being like, this is a big deal for a lot of us. For Monika to sit there and go, I took $0 so that the people behind me could get more money. For her to have that attitude when in the back of her mind, she knows dang well she took $500,000. It's like just good gameplay by her, but it just irritated me. Because it's just like that's so fake when you're sitting there crying, like about how you only took, she was like, I only took 0. Like she was like crying about it, but she took $500,000. So it's like, and you know, 8 months removed, great freaking play. Mom, I talked to her this morning. We had an interview this morning. Great freaking play. But in the moment, scumbag.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I feel like you are definitely the person that would respect a move like that if you weren't in the same game as her. Like I feel like if you were like a viewer, would be like, "Whoa, that's like a sick move," you know? Like that's something that you have to think through. So, but yeah, because you were in the game, I think it may affect you a little differently.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not. And again, if Nick would have done it, and not, I feel like he would have told us if he did. But say Nick had the coin and he did that, I'd probably look back like, damn, bro, you kept that from us. Like, and you pulled that off. That's crazy, bro. Like, let's go. But because it's like an opposing alliance or group or whatever you want to call it, it's kind of like, you know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, I was definitely salty in the moment. And you are removing the chance at 10 million for someone, you know.
Right.
Note, but
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And so I guess moving into I keep calling it phones, but I guess it's like the bribe game.
Yeah.
Did you have this move like locked in before going into starting the game that you were like, I'm gonna do it?
No. So I pull up to the cubes and we hadn't said anything to anyone. Like Nick and I were like talking about how we wanted to like potentially talk about it in front of everyone. And we were kind of like bouncing ideas back and forth in the hotel, or not in the hotel, but just like when we were traveling, whatever, just kind of like bouncing ideas around of like, okay, how can we unpack this? How can we, you know, really put all these pieces together? And again, he did the heavy lifting of figuring it out. But so we were kind of talking like, okay, what's like a good plan here? And then I got in the cube and I'm sitting there and I'm kind of thinking, and at this point in the game, I'm feeling pretty good about my situation. No matter what, I feel like I have pretty good social credit. I have money. If I have to spend my money, I have to spend my money. So I felt pretty good where I was at. And I was like, let me see if I could take a swing at something. And I knew that, I mean, I guess you'll see what happens and how it plays out. But I definitely tried to use it to make a big play.
Okay.
But it was not pre-planned. It was not pre-planned. The idea came to me because we're sitting in there like, I gotta do something with this, and I did something with it.
So it was like your strategy alone. Like Nick didn't have input on like using it in this game specifically.
Not that I remember. This is his. Like I said, he's the one that like led the charge of figuring that out. However you want to say that. So flowers to Nick. You'll have to see how it plays out, but that was my choice.
The edit was sick though, dude. There were some villainous shots of you where you were like looking through the glass. It was so funny.
I know. It's like that. It's like that.
It
Is
was
that
funny.
Dexter? What's the like the meme of like the guy in his car with the steering wheel? It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
Oh yeah.
I've already seen it. It's like how Auguste was moving after Monica sold the coin. Well, because I love
No, that's literally you.
again, they did a great job, you know, building up the story. When we were sitting on those couches, I wasn't like, I don't remember like looking, and maybe I was thinking like, where are Jim and Monica? I think I was thinking that, but I wasn't thinking about the coin yet necessarily because we hadn't like, you know, pieced that. But I love how they edit me like leaning over the couch looking. It's so funny because it looks like I'm just like sleuthing. It's pretty funny. That's a cool edit.
So I guess that brings us to just the cliffhanger. And so I guess we can't really get deeper into it, but if you had to describe the next episode in 3 words, what would you say?
Chaotic, And separation.
Oh, okay, good words. Usually it's just like crazy,
Wild,
emotional.
money, Mr. Beast.
Everyone watching, dig into those words, take what you want from that. Um, but I guess kind of closing us out here, since we can't talk about anymore, was there anything throughout all of the episodes so far that has surprised you watching it back? Like maybe a moment that you didn't even know about that happened that you could think of?
Not really. That's a really good question. It's hard to say. I don't think I've had any too big of surprises yet. I didn't know about the Jack thing during the game, the card swap. You did tell us about that a couple months after the game. So that was pretty cool to see play out. I mean, there are certain conversations that people were having. Like, I knew Brett and Corey were with us, but I think there was a conversation in episode 7 they were having, basically just saying like, hey, we got to look out for just each other, basically, which kind of knew that, like that they were kind of their pair and we were our four. But I think I didn't realize as much that everybody was so locked into just their people, which makes sense. But I think like watching it back, I didn't quite see that as much in the moment. I kind of saw everyone else as a little more fluid. But in reality, I think it was a lot more rigid in terms of like, these people are sticking together, these people are sticking together, these people are sticking together.
So, from everything we've seen so far, what is your best advice for any future Beast Games players?
Stick with your people. Make genuine relationships. Know when to make big plays. Know when not to try to make big plays. And I mean, stick with your squad.
Okay.
Solid advice. Keep it simple.
No, I mean,
Giving it straight to the audience.
I think doing well on Beast Games is not as difficult as people would think. It is hard, but I think if you are always thinking ahead and like thinking about what situation you're in, because I think a lot of people maybe just hang out in the city and talk about whatever. But if you're very intentional with your conversations and the things that you're spending time thinking about, I think that gives you a big edge as well.
We're excited to see how the rest of your game plays out. You know, there's only 2 more episodes, but there's
I know
obviously
within
a lot more
13
that's gonna
days,
happen.
we're gonna know what all happens, and it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, gonna be crazy. But yeah, any final remarks or maybe anything that we missed that you want to speak on, or do you think we hit everything?
No, I mean, I think we got it all. I really appreciate you guys. Great questions, and that was fun, kind of diving into that with you guys.
Yeah, we're so glad that we got you on. I guess our final thing is, do you want to shout out your socials or anything that you want people to pay attention to coming up?
Yeah, for sure. If you guys want to check out my socials, it should just be Auguste Auger on all platforms. Auguste, Auger. Kind of a crazy name. I've been doing some Beast Games related content, kind of like Ava and Ivy. If you guys want to check it out, feel free to. But yeah, go watch Beast Game Season 2 on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, there you have it. Yeah, go check out August. Go check out August podcast. Lots of great content there. They break down everything with all of the big players. So yeah, go check that out. It'll be linked below as well. But that brings us to the end of this podcast episode. Thank you so much, August, for coming on. And thank you to everyone that listened along. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you did, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and go check out all of our other behind the scenes content for Beast Games Season 2. But besides that, we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.